People will not know anymore who to trust. And this is the moment when this stamp of trust becomes extremely relevant.
Is there anything that currently you're looking ahead at, any trends in particular?
You need to place your bets, but you should not play only on one card these days because there are so many unknowns.
What does it actually mean to be trusted, especially soon in the deep depths of the age of AI? AI agents are no longer just helping people shop. They are starting to shop for them, and that changes everything for merchants, platforms, and consumers alike. Today's guest is Jovan Protić, CEO of Idealo, one of Europe's top price comparison platforms, and a former AI fellow who spent 9 months in Silicon Valley's AI ecosystem. In this episode, we get into his time in Silicon Valley, what he learned and is implementing at Idealo, and why trust is becoming the new currency of commerce. Welcome to Behind the Click by E-commerce Berlin Expo. I'm your host, Janine Heinrich. Let's jump into this episode. Well, Jovan, thank you for joining us at the E-commerce Berlin Expo podcast Behind the Click. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here, so thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Of course.
It's great to be here.
Of course, I'm excited because you have quite a vast array of experience. So you've pretty much spent 20 years at the intersection of media, advertising, and e-commerce. And now you're the CEO of one of Europe's most visited shopping platforms. And at a moment where AI is really rewriting the rules of the game on e-commerce. So this is kind of a broad question and probably a hard one to answer, but what does it feel like being in the inside right now while all of these things are happening?
Well, it depends who you ask. I mean, if you're asking me, you are doing that now. I mean, I think that, for people who are builders, who like innovation, who like creating things, this is probably the most exciting time to live. There is so many opportunities, like technology is developing so fast. Business models are being rewritten. If you have this kind of state of mind where you're not building walls, but you're rather trying to build windmills and trying to take advantage of this whole new world around us, then I think that it's great to be doing business today. And concretely, me and my company, I think I'm blessed to be in a company that has everything it takes to really build those windmills and take advantage of what future might bring with AI. And not only AI, because there are so many other things also changing these days. Think of just advertising industry. You mentioned advertising. I mean, retail media last year was bigger than TV in the United States. Like, who would expect that a couple of years ago? So there's so many things going on these days, and I think that Idealo is very well positioned
for sure
to surf on these new trends.
For sure, I think one of the things that Idealo benefits from as well is the substantial customer base and the amount of visitors and data that you can get from what they're doing to even just stay at the forefront of these trends. But I want to bring it back to you, actually, because I find it interesting. You said it's extremely exciting being a builder at this particular point in time. And we're going to touch on the other things besides AI. But what I found interesting on my research about you is you, by your own admission, said that you weren't an early adopter of AI. So when did it actually click for you, and what changed for you to say, okay, let's spend a little bit more time looking into this?
It's an interesting question, and to answer it, I need to go a little bit back, towards the beginning of my career. I mean, one of the first serious job that I had was I was a general manager of a newspaper, a free daily newspaper in a small country, and 26-year-old being general manager of a newspaper, I felt like a king of the world.
That's impressive at 26.
And then, the headquarters of this big portfolio company made some changes. They said, we want to go digital all in. And they said, you're going to be chief digital officer. And I hated it. I thought, I don't want to give up my beautiful newspaper and small little world that I've created for myself. So I was forced in that situation.
How come you were forced into it, actually?
I mean, forced. In a way, general management of that country, there was I was in Serbia back then. They said, okay, you understand this stuff. Like, you should be our chief digital officer. And, at that time, I thought it's a smaller job. And, like, obviously, when you're general manager of a newspaper company, it comes with a lot of soft power and you lose all of that. And frankly, like, after several years, like, doing digital and like, building amazing career around it, I realized basically that was probably the best thing that ever happened to me in my business career. And it was not done to the full extent free willingly. In a way, I was a little bit massaged into going in that direction, maybe not pushed. And now with AI, I recognize pretty much a similar moment. I realized that, again, back then it was about like, media going digital. It was about mobile. It was about like, iPhone, application development. And now I felt like, okay, this thing is even bigger than everything that was happening back then. But this time, I'm going to proactively do this thing.
It's a very different position to be in, for sure.
So, with the same hope that this might open up completely new horizons for me and like, open me up for exploring new things, learning something new, and then eventually developing myself. Even though I was at the moment when this was all happening, like, I was already like having an amazing career and running a big company. But, I'm too young to stop. So I wanted to explore what this thing is all about. So yes, you're right. I mean, I was not early adopter, but I was also not late adopter. I think that, I'm just kind of a realistic optimist, tech optimist, let's put it that way.
That's fair.
And so I decided to give it really a chance, force myself to learn about AI, to experiment with AI, to test out everything new that comes out. And sometimes really forcing myself. But, after 2 years of doing that, I can only say that I don't regret doing it.
And we're going to jump into that more deeply in a moment. But what I'm curious to understand from your experience, because one of the things that you have, which is really cool for me to talk to you, is you have the experience. So when you look back at your earlier career, being 26 years old, having this opportunity to become chief digital officer during a time where digitization was happening in this industry, and now you're essentially going through something very similar again, now with AI, what are the parallels that you can draw? And are there any potential pitfalls that you can avoid this time around?
Yeah. I mean, there are a couple of things. Like one thing that I remember back then, one of the biggest things that was preventing me to grab this opportunity back then was I thought that there was already so many experts out there. Okay, back then there was no like such popular LinkedIn or like, social media. But still, I felt that there are so many people who are such an amazing experts when it comes to digital transformation. And what I realized maybe 6 months into the new role back then was that a lot of it was fake. And I see the same pattern today. I think that all of a sudden everybody became
An expert.
AI expert.
Yes.
So that is one thing. Second thing is, I noticed back then that, I remember one of the first things that was a topic of all the discussions and panels that newspaper is dead. And now digital is fully taking over and print advertising is dead. And everything print is dead. Look, I mean, 20 years have passed. And yes, I mean, print is a smaller business than it was. And print advertising is much smaller than it was. But, for most of the newspaper companies out there, this is still probably the predominant monetization channel. And we speak about 20 years. So I think that, we as humans, particularly this tech optimist part of the, of the people, we have this tendency to overhype things, to think that everything will come much faster than it actually will. And I think that, with this AI transformation, things will happen faster than it happened with print. But it will not happen as fast as all these digital gurus, AI gurus are predicting that it's over. things will never be the same.
Yeah.
Already tomorrow, everything will
Everything's
be
gonna change.
agentic commerce. And,
Yeah.
I think that, yes, there will be a lot of changes
Mhm.
and we need to be smart and we need to be on top of it. But I don't think it will happen from one day to another. And I also don't think that everything that today gurus are predicting to be happening will happen actually.
Okay, that's exciting. I'm excited to unpack that. And what you say about the hype is definitely something that always comes to my mind because, I mean, I was too young to live through the internet bubble, but I was old enough in school to learn about it. And so oftentimes when I hear everything around AI and I'm hearing what's going on with companies and what they're changing and inflating these new companies that are coming up, I always wonder, like, are we in just another one of these bubbles that's eventually going to burst? And like, it's going to be an integrated part of our society like the internet has become for us, but it's not going to completely flip things 180 and we're going to be living in a completely different world. It always makes me wonder. Do you have a...
Yeah, look, I mean, a lot of things will change,
Yeah.
I think. So I wouldn't say like, like that it's complete bubble.
Mm-hmm.
No, I would say like, there are a lot of things that will never be the same. There is a lot of hype and false promises, but there is also a lot of amazing new, technological developments and use cases that will change the things around us, and we should just have this kind of a, I would say, balanced approach and kind of realistic view with a lot of challenging like and use of common sense looking at all this development.
Yeah, I'm getting the impression you're quite the realist. But I also wanted to unpack this a bit more because, like you said, there's a lot of people who are so-called AI experts today. But one thing that you did, which is quite courageous and quite interesting, is you went to the source of the experts. So, from my understanding, you spent about 9 months in Silicon Valley or in San Francisco as an AI fellow, and you stepped away from your day-to-day responsibilities to fully immerse yourself into this world and really be a part of what's coming next with AI. So, what made you willing to do that, and why did you take that bet?
Yeah, I think that partially I gave the answer to this motivational question, like to you in my with the previous question. But so obviously I wanted to push myself, like to push myself out of my comfort zone. At that moment, like I was COO of the company called Rainier Axel Springer. It's a large portfolio company consisting of more than 50 media brands, e-commerce brands, classifieds businesses. And so you might say, okay, you're running great company, interesting business models. Why would you do that? I just simply realized that these things will be big. It will affect all of these businesses, and I don't want to be observer. I want to really learn about this. I want to really understand. I don't want to trust just gurus posting things on social media. I want to touch it. I want to get to know these people. And somehow, like, at the same time, Axel Springer has this kind of very interesting practice, I believe so. And that's a very wise management decision of Axel Springer board, that with every big change, they would send senior executives to the place where this change is actually happening.
Okay.
To understand how this is going to affect the whole group, not only the company this particular executive is running. So I was asked pretty much at the same time, like, would I want 10 years ago they sent a couple of executives, including I think at that time editor-in-chief of Build, to go to and like also current chairman of the supervisory board of Springer, Jan Bayer. They sent them to see how the mobile will transform, like digital, and they spent 1 year actually in Silicon Valley, and this time it was all about AI. So I was asked if I would want to do that this time, and without too much thinking, I said yes.
That's phenomenal.
And I'm glad I did that.
Yes.
Because it's one thing is like when you're reading blog posts and TechCrunch and like social media influencers content, completely another thing when you have the opportunity to talk to these people, to kind of immerse yourself into the community. And I could probably use 3 podcasts like this to tell you what I've scene there.
Well, we'll try to distill it a little bit, because what I'm interested in is, like you said, there's a lot of hype and false promises. There's also a lot of things that will change and that are real. So I'm thinking, okay, you get to Silicon Valley, you're meeting with these experts, you're learning more about, you're at the forefront of what's happening, and you've truly immersed yourself. So, short answers. What is hype, or what looks like hype and false promises, or what was a reality that was broken for you while you were there? And then also, what would you say is really real? Like one or two things from each of those sides.
Yeah, look, I mean, what is real? I mean, already then, and I was there like, I think second half of 2024. Actually, no, end of 24, like first half 25. Like already then, most of the engineers I was meeting, they were bragging that they're doing 3-4 jobs at the same time.
Interesting.
So, look, I mean, that is real. So, like, vibe coding or using AI to write a code, like productivity of the tech teams is massively increasing. So that's no hype. And like, if you ask yourself, okay, like, how many changes we actually introduce, if you look at the big companies, to our tech and product organization, like knowing, I don't know how much, like, like there are companies that did a lot, but I still see probably vast majority of the companies that didn't do much. So that's very, very real. I mean, seeing, like, particularly, I don't know, for customer support, customer care, like, those startups that I saw over there and what they do. And, I really believe that already today, there is very little need for customer support departments, and like a lot of these things can be automated. This whole, like, multi-agentic frameworks, like, and AI agents and everything that now Cloud Code is introducing, and AI, and there is so many things that can be automized, and we can use, like, time of our teams much smarter and in a much more productive way, and having them doing things that they should really do that are adding value, and having all other things that can be replaced by AI, simply basically managed by AI. I saw, like, that content production, it was already visible back then, that content production will never be the same.
No, 100%.
I mean, like, several examples here, but like, look, we are now doing this podcast in English, but already then I saw such amazing tools where with the perfect synchronization of lip syncing, our conversation can be translated to language. Spanish or Chinese or whatever. So I don't know how interesting our discussion would be for Chinese, but
you never know.
maybe we should. So if you think about it, like, for the reporter of, let's say, I don't know, Auto Builds, who is reporting from Geneva Motor Show in German, all of a sudden that same content can become available to the, I don't know, for example, from Axel Springer media portfolio point of view, to Business Insider in English, or Politico in DC, or Onet in Poland, or so all of a sudden a reporter of a single product in one language in one country could become reporter of multiple products in several different geographies, and it works perfectly.
There's a whole new opportunity.
And you're not changing the context, you're not changing anything that he or she is saying. You're perfectly one-on-one translating with a perfect lip syncing what this person is. So, then video production. And I was listening to the executives of, like, the big Universal Studios, and like, and Warner Brothers, and saying, about, AI basically completely disrupting the way they do video production. And actually not only talking about, like, believing in it, showing what they're testing. So content, like, we really change.
So it sounds like AI is changing a lot when it comes to productivity, production, the way we work. And so I'm interested to take your experience that when you were in the US and bring it back to also where you are now in your role in leadership, leading Idealo. And so what would you say from what you learned over there was maybe the most surprising learning for you? And has it maybe changed the way you want to lead the company moving forward?
one thing I really learned there is this kind of fast delivery, shipping, and experimentation. The whole ecosystem is designed to function that way. So you're not talking too much. You're jumping on it. You're doing it. You're shipping fast. You're testing several different things. Many of them fail. You move on. You celebrate your failure. You're celebrating people that are innovative, progressive, forward-looking. Every speech I would listen to in Silicon Valley, as a rule, was starting with 2 sentences. One, and that's the funny one, I was doing AI far before this became hype. So that's a one.
You had to establish it with the first.
Yeah. But okay, but there was a second one.
Yeah.
As a rule, which would be a celebration of one of your failures. And you don't have that much of that in Europe. So I don't want to wait. I want to go all in.
Yeah.
I want to give people a space. I want to celebrate people who are ready to experiment. I don't want to build the walls. I want to really take advantage of the assets we have to jump on this AI ship and really create amazing things and products. So if I need to choose one thing, then probably that would be the one. This kind of overall cultural change in how we will be doing things. We will be embracing AI.
Yeah. And this is kind of the consensus that I'm starting to get because we've had a few people on the podcast so far who are talking about AI, the changes to retail that comes from it. And it seems to be a subtle consensus amongst the group that having this mindset of being open to failure, moving quickly, just experimenting with the new technologies that are available seems to be at the core of what a lot of people would hope that the European retail industry would get to, especially in order to be able to keep up with the US and China, for example, as they move forward. Do you see that as being one of the more critical factors then? Or would you say there's a different element to it?
I'm not sure I understand the question. You mean like for the general development of the retail industry in Europe? Well, I mean, if you look at also retail industry in Europe, like it's also fairly dominated by the American players as well. So in a way, it's very hard to kind of differentiate. But like I would say, one thing I noticed, and I don't know how much this is applicable to the retail industry, but in general, like over there already 2 years ago, people already then stopped talking about experimenting with AI. It was more about doing things, scaling things. Like 2 years into, or even more, like almost 3 years now, after, when was ChatGPT introduced? Probably 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I still feel a lot of companies here in Europe talk about experimenting with AI. And again, like coming back to this speed, I think that it's about trying out things, taking risks, getting out of the comfort zone, trusting your people that, they can, giving them the space, celebrating AI ninjas. It's also, like if you think of it, it's a cultural thing.
Yeah.
Like, as an employee, like, shall I go to my boss and say, I use the AI for everything? Did we create an atmosphere in our companies where they can proudly say, I actually used AI to deliver you this? Because for people to do that, they need to feel super safe. And they need to know that you will celebrate that and appreciate that. So you need to create a context basically for this to start happening. I still feel like talking to a lot of my colleagues and executives that this is not always the case.
Okay.
So, it's very hard for me to talk about Europe in general and retail. I think that now is the time to start doing things.
Yeah. And I think that's a great opportunity to bring it back to you and your role in your company, because there's an area where you have a lot of influence to start doing things. And so from your perspective, what are you the most excited to start with, or have you already started with so far? And what does that actually look like tangibly then?
Yeah, well, I mean, as Idealo is it's amazing company. It's like it's a great business model. Like if you think about it, like
Explain it, please.
when there is economic crisis, people are looking for the ways how to save money. So Idealo is resilient to the economic crisis. When there are great times and e-commerce is growing, Idealo is also growing because the whole e-commerce is growing. So it's a very resilient and nice business model. For the times they are stable and when nothing is changing in the e-commerce industry. And that's what pretty much Idealo had the last 25 years since the foundation. So it's like, it's more or less stable environment and you grow regardless from what's happening on the market. But now, we see what's going on. There's like, chatbots, they are going deeper into the value chain. There's agentic commerce. So a lot is changing. Like, retailers becoming advertisers with the retail media trend. So in a way, I see that a lot will be changing and this requires from us also to change. And when I look at Idealo, I think that we have everything we need to change, and not only to react to the things around us, but also to drive the change. Like I strongly believe that this whole trend of agentic commerce using AI for discovery will be heavily dependent on the quality of data. Idealo probably has one of the best product catalogs in Europe. We operate in 6 Western European markets. We are a symbol of trust for people. People know us so many years. They know that, Idealo says that, okay, this is a good product for the lowest price and this shop is listed on Idealo, then most probably it's okay to buy from this shop, and probably the price really the lowest. And so I would like to take advantage of this fact. I think we can really become this kind of a data backbone of this future AI ecosystem and agentic commerce on one hand. On the other hand, why would I wait for others to do it?
Exactly.
Why would I wait for, I don't know, ChatGPT to learn how to collect proper data or get this data from us? Why not enabling Idealo's users on Idealo to have similar experiences? And this is another area where I really plan together with the team on introducing a lot of I would say AI-powered improved user experience within the core product. Advertising, retail media, I mentioned before, is a huge trend.
What exactly is the trend you're seeing there? Because you mentioned it twice now, so I'm just curious to...
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been to a lot of advertising events, flagship advertising event in US while I was there. In the previous years, usually the main sponsors of these events would be big media buying advertising agencies or media companies. Now, the main sponsors were companies like Walmart Connect, which is the retail media advertising unit of Walmart, or Amazon Ads, which is retail media advertising unit of Amazon. So retailers are becoming the biggest suppliers of data-driven advertising solutions. Who would have expected that several years ago? That's another thing with the data that Idealo has, with almost 60 million purchase decisions that we influence every month. We could be amazing contributor to this newly developing, forming advertising ecosystem. So also transaction data. I believe that Idealo has a lot of data to offer to the market that can inform the executive's decision on planning their stocks, planning their pricing strategy. So I see on this amazing community of merchants around Idealo, and we have almost 50,000 merchants that are listing their offers on Idealo. And around this amazing data that Idealo possesses, several new business models. Some of them AI, some of them advertising, some of them maybe rather going in the direction of analytical platform. So I see that we can do much more than what we're doing today, and we are now starting this kind of construction site where we will be building these new business models.
And is it fair for me to say, because I think the thread that I'm seeing in everything that or hearing in everything that you've said had to do with, at the end of the day, you have a phenomenal set of data around consumer behavior that enables you to create new business models out of your existing business model, to be at the forefront of creating something new and also adapting to the change. And in the past 25 years of the platform being around, it was very resilient to whatever was happening. But there is also the importance that now Idealo as a company also needs to become even more resilient by adapting and creating new business models for the change. Is that a fair way to understand it then?
Yes, I would just not say this is not a defense move.
Okay.
Because I still believe that, this kind of core business model of Idealo, maybe in a slightly different forms, maybe living within different platforms, not only as a standalone website or an application, will still be there and it will be stable even in the times to come. But I also see rather this additional business opportunities that we can leverage, some of them being AI driven, and we started building now all of those.
Because that was the thing that I was wondering. I was thinking to myself, okay, as a consumer, I love to find a good deal. I use a lot of the LLMs. I'll use a Gemini, I'll use a ChatGPT, I'll use whatever it takes to find me whatever I need. And so at first, when I knew we were going to have this conversation, I started thinking to myself, would I still need a platform like yours in the future, or would an agent or my LLM be able to help me end up finding the right deal? Because right now, you use it, it helps you scout the internet even faster for what you're looking for. People are saying it's going into the direction that it will even make the purchases for me in the future. So what does that mean then for a platform like you? Does it become like yours? Does it become obsolete at some point because of these existing LLMs and tools out there?
Yeah, look, that's a question I'm kind of being asked regularly.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I think that what LLM, everything on the paper, everything sounds like easy, but you probably read the news that 1 week ago, ChatGPT resigned from agentic checkout. I mean, I don't want to say that, I was predicting that and I knew it for sure, but I was fairly certain that when they see how much complexity this brings, their motivation will drop significantly.
And what about the complexity?
Complexity is when you start aggregating the real product data, doing checkout, all of a sudden you're becoming a merchant in a way. You're becoming a marketplace. People hold you responsible for the things that they bought from you. Then you have a challenge, will people really give you their credit card number, and believing and trusting that agent will do the right thing with your payment data. And then there is I read somewhere there was just last couple of years 100,000 fraudulent shops being established just on the German market. And Idealo, from the moment shop comes to us and says, I want to list your products on Idealo, it takes almost, I think, 14 days.
Oh, wow.
Until we say, okay, this shop is okay, can go live. So, some of these things you just don't do like this automatically. There is this kind of, trust. It's like a product data, trust in the pricing, that is shown there. Trust that your card will be used in a proper way. So, if you're asking me, I really believe that we live in a time where we will have a huge oversupply of information. And we will have increased demand for curators. And Idealo is exactly that. It's a trusted curator. So I think that not only that we will become obsolete, we will become necessity. And will we, and what I don't know, will we be existing only as a standalone product? Or we will be data provider and standalone product, and maybe have a completely different form and shape in the future. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure that there will be a strong need within the whole AI ecosystem for the companies like Idealo. Because you need some, and same thing I believe for media, frankly.
Oh, explain.
Look, with social media, we have this kind of full democratization where everybody can publish whatever he or she wants and get access to the huge audience. And on one hand, that brought a lot of great things to this world, but also brought a lot of risks. Yeah. We have probably, like, it was 2 million last year when I was checking, but people who believe that Earth is flat and are like, members of this group on social media, and it's growing. And now imagine what is going to happen with this hyper production of content done with AI. Like, these people will be completely lost. Yeah. People will not know anymore who to trust. And this is the moment when this stamp of trust becomes extremely relevant. Is this published by New York Times or Guardian? Or this is some no-name page that is posting this on social media? Or my trusted blogger or influencer? That's also, like, a lot of people in the creator space became a brand. Yeah. And then same thing for commerce. Is this offer coming from, I don't know, Amazon or MediaMarkt Saturn? Or it's coming from Idealo? Or this price is coming from Idealo? Idealo is saying that this price is really the lowest one? Yeah. Or this is just like, something that was scrapped from the web and maybe taken from some fraudulent shop. And as I said, just in Germany, there were 100,000 of them like the last couple of years. Yeah. And I think that, in this new world, those trusted intermediaries will be in demand.
Yeah. And this is what I'm curious to understand, because you talked about something briefly, but it's also incredibly important. The amount of fraudulent shops that opened up over a period of time, the fact that trust is becoming such an important factor. And so what it makes me wonder is the industry taking this seriously enough, especially because at the end of the day, it seems like it's always coming down to data at the end of the day, and an AI is only as good as the data that has been given. So how seriously is this factor of trust being taken into account, especially from, on one hand, the business perspective, on the other hand, the consumer perspective? And then what does it actually mean to be trusted, especially soon in the deep depths of the age of AI, which we're pretty much getting in the core?
I mean, trusted, like, there are a couple of dimensions of trusted. Yeah. Like, first of all, like those chatbots that many of us are using now every day, like, or even search engines, are they trusted for the certain use case? So, like, I think we should ask ourselves, do you trust when ChatGPT recommends you a given product when you ask, for example, give me this product with the lowest price and fastest delivery in Germany? Do you trust that what you got as a search result is really the product with the lowest price, with the fastest delivery, and the model that you actually search for? And that is best for running, let's put it that way. So I think that that's one dimension of trust. Another dimension of trust, like in this agentic world, these AI agents need to trust that you as a merchant, you are the best one to serve this query. So here, I think that it's a little bit different, because here, pretty much the same signals that we were all building to position on Google will be valid also for LLMs with some additions. So, your presence on the internet, the trails that you were like, leaving on the web around, what company stands behind you, like what are reviewers saying about you, who is linking to you. I mean, Google was also a machine for the last, I don't know how many years, was trying to create better products for their users by learning their algorithm, teaching their algorithm to serve you the good products that you're searching for. So in a way, I think that the similar rules will apply now to the chatbot, with some differences, that those search queries will be different, like, and this branding or brand power, and are people really concretely asking for your brands, will even grow much more in that. And then the third thing is, like, trust in the brand. And like, I think that this will become extremely important as well. Because, if the world really will go agentic, if we will start trusting our agent that much so that we say, some very general search queries, think of, I don't know, I go camping with my kids and I don't have a tent, and you know that your agent know how many kids you have.
Yeah.
Buy me something up to 200 euros. So, and then, and at that moment, you need to, as a brand, even more double down on branding and your kind of presence on the internet, not only internet, in the mind of people, so that when they instruct the agent, they say, buy me something from the brand X or Y. Because only then you know that your brand will be the one that this agent will buy. Otherwise, agent will go use probably some intermediary data or criteria like Idealo and say, okay, this is probably the best shop with the best price. So Idealo is saying that, so I should probably buy this product. Yeah. So but but I think the most important thing is trusting those agents.
Yeah.
Will we as human beings trust them with such a general search queries, or we'll still do a lot of search, come to the very concrete product, and then say, okay, now you can buy it.
Fair. And was that the thinking then behind Idealo creating this plugin that goes inside of ChatGPT? Was it about having that, knowing that consumers want this trust, and what was their thinking there?
It's not only thinking or assuming that people will want that. We also did some tests, and we were analyzing, for the thousands and thousands of different search queries, what you get as a search results, for example, on ChatGPT. And what you realize that, even if you're asking for, I don't know, O3 sneaker size 43, lowest price Germany in the beige color, you realize that pretty much every search query with the small modulations give you completely different search results. So you start asking yourself, okay, is this really then the lowest price in that size, or I should keep checking somewhere else, maybe the other one. Second thing is every fourth, fifth product you click, you realize that offer does not exist anymore. Then third thing you realize there's a lot of talking. I don't want to talk. If I know concretely what I want to buy, then just give me the list of products. I don't want Jovan has your day today. So
all the extra stuff,
So I think that that is I think the logic behind it.
Okay.
We realize that there are some serious lackages in the user experience, and that they are mainly coming from unstable product data and unreliable product data they have. How they get there, I don't know, probably crawling. But it was clear to us that, this is not the experience that will build the trust and the repetitive usage of their users for shopping user experience or for shopping use cases. So we said, okay, now they open up this application development within ChatGPT. Let's build the app on top of our credible product data and on top of our 50,000 merchant offerings, and showcase how ChatGPT experience can be great once you have a great data. And I really encourage you to test it out.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Because it is really much better user experience, and you get much better product data, and you have this, I think that is very important thing. You have a peace of mind. Say, okay, mention Idealo and say, okay, give me the, whatever, iron from Philips, cheapest price in, with the fastest delivery in Berlin. And you know that when you get that's the real thing, and you can just go click and buy. And I think that this peace of mind is a very important thing.
Yes, for sure.
So, and now if you ask me, okay, do you believe that now all the, millions of people who are using ChatGPT every day for shopping, if there is that much, I don't know, will now all of a sudden all start mentioning Idealo and installing that app? because that's not a plugin. It's a proper app that basically enables Idealo to live within ChatGPT.
Okay, I didn't realize. I thought it was a plugin.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't expect that, frankly.
Yeah.
Because, it probably take years again to educate the market, people to start mentioning Idealo within ChatGPT. They don't expect that. But what I do expect is that, and that's what they announced, that OpenAI will be proactively recommending products from the apps that can serve the particular search query. So I would expect that, if somebody will be searching for the product data and they realize that we are doing a good job in serving product data, that they will be proactively calling Idealo app and showing results from Idealo. So if you ask me what is the bet here, it's rather that.
Okay.
And if they don't do it, okay. It's not drama. I still believe. And that's this building that I mentioned. We should be on top of it. We should be testing out things. We should be trying out things. We should be developing things. And this is just one of the things that we will develop.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a previous experience with it, like moving to the media space. Several years ago, Google introduced something called accelerated mobile pages.
Okay.
And Facebook introduced Facebook Instant Articles.
Okay.
So what was the idea is that people don't leave Google for the media content, but that the article is loaded within Google and within Facebook. And all the publishers out there were super kind of cautious. Why would I give my content to be read on their platform?
Yeah.
And also then I went all in on both.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Why?
And frankly, because I assume that they will heavily start promoting and recommending that content.
Okay.
And those are great traffic machines. And with Facebook, I was wrong. But with Google, I was very right. Okay. And for the next 5 years, we benefit a lot from Google recommending and pushing articles that were actually served through accelerated mobile pages. So again, the same thing here.
Okay.
Now they introduce this. Will it live and will it fly?
Yeah.
Time will show, but we are there.
Okay. And so being cognizant of time, because I know we're getting close to the hour, I'm curious to understand from your perspective, because you said it's a lot of construction zones. There are areas where there's an opportunity to build something, do something. So from your side, what are you the most excited then to try out next? Maybe we say less experiments, but really do next. And I'll ask my second question after.
Yeah. So I would really like Idealo to become an AI company.
Okay. And what does that look like for you in like 5 years or even a year from now?
I would like every process in a company that can be improved with the help of AI, that it will be improved. That nothing that AI can do, we will be doing manually. That all our employees will be kind of AI upskilled and enabled fully. On the product side, that people will not even know if it's AI or it's not AI. They just feel that experience is so great that it's kind of adjusting and dedicated AI/conversational/agentic user experience within Idealo that serves me exactly the products I need, helps me with my buying decisions, discovering products. Like, I want an amazing AI-driven user experience in the core product of Idealo.
Yeah.
And people will not even care, is it AI, not AI? They will just love, I hope that they will love, because that's what we want to build.
Yeah.
So you ask me what I'm excited about, that's what I'm excited about.
I can see it. You talk about it with a lot of passion. And what I think is interesting about what you mentioned is something that I believe Idealo is also in the same position to do, is because you have this plethora of data and good quality data, and you've already had the time to make sure the quality is good and build the trust with your user base. You do something for consumers, which is distill that plethora of information. As you mentioned, is too much information now, and it's going to be even worse soon, and distill it so that it's super easy for us as consumers to just look at the data and go, okay, I got what I need to get from it. I can move on, rather than having to look at it and say, I don't know if I trust it. Let me go do the research myself. And to wrap up, one last question that I had for you is there anything that currently you're looking ahead at, any trends in particular where you say, okay, I'm a little uncertain about this, but I'm also curious to see how it's going to develop moving forward?
Well, look, I'm uncertain about. It's very hard for me to say, like, will it be agentic commerce fully or some hybrid? Will Google stay as it is, or will move fully into AI mode and chatbot experience? Like, so there's so many unknowns. Will we see, like, also Google resigning from agentic checkout like OpenAI did, or they will rather go all in? Like, so and that's why also, like, when I look at the strategy of Idealo, I'm seeing, like, the potential two scenario of how the world might unfold. And I am preparing the company to be ready for each of these two. So I'm in general uncertain how the e-commerce with, like, this AI enabled commerce will look like in 1 or 2 years from now. I have, like, some hypotheses, and I'm trying to prepare the company to be ready. And I think that's in general, like, something I would recommend any company out there, that you need to place your bets, but you should not play only on one card these days, because there are so many unknowns. I see people doing crazy things, like, exiting companies that I really strongly believe will not be disrupted, but they think that AI is going to kill their business model, and they're not. They're, like, leaving. I think if you see investors panicking, like, and selling businesses for peanuts. Like, on the other hand, I also see investors, like, pouring loads of money into AI startups. I know that they don't have any chance. So I would say, like, there is no certainty how shopping will look like going forward. There are some things that I believe will be there. People will still need trusted information to make their purchase decisions. I think that there will be a strong need for those kind of trusted labels or stamps of trust. They will say, okay, that is safe and you can buy. But will it be fully agentic? Will it not?
To be decided.
I don't know.
Fair. And I think that's a great recommendation that you gave. And I feel like there's so much more I would love to unpack with you, because especially this topic of uncertainties and deciding how to get started and where to place your bets. There's so much more we could talk about. I think that could be a part 2 for this podcast episode. But with that, I think we're at the end of the conversation. So I wanted to say thank you so much for your time and joining me in this conversation and sharing all of your insights into your life, what you learned through AI, and also Idealo as well. So appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Behind the Click. If you enjoyed this episode, follow the podcast and leave us a review. It really helps others discover these stories and helps us to notify you when the next episode goes live. Also, remember to join us at E-commerce Berlin Expo in February to keep the conversation going. We look forward to seeing you there, and until next time.